Is no stranger to our countdown, makes the trip from Winston-Salem here to Durham. He's no stranger to Durham, having been a legendary player at North Carolina Central. Robert Massey, in his fifth season as the head football coach at Winston-Salem State, joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. What's going on, Coach Massey?
I'm hanging in there, man. Glad to be here. Appreciate you with the invite and enjoying it every year.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. Your thoughts on the Rams season last year?
Well, last year, defensively, we were ranked nationally in the top 10. We struggled offensively. We had some injuries. But, one of the things that we kind of struggled with was really our infrastructure. When I talk about that, I'm talking about our coaching staff. We were young on the offensive end. And we hit some bumps in the road, and it hurt us. We started it, two young quarterbacks. They played, about 3 games apiece. So those guys have had a chance to grow and mature, and that's a good thing going into this season.
You mentioned, we were just talking, you just hired Chris Barnett, who was formerly at A&T as an offensive coordinator for several years. A&T put up a lot of points, so I know you got to feel good about that.
Yeah, definitely feel good about Coach Barnett. We also hired Glenn Reese, who's the receiver coach over there as well. So what we're trying to do is we've gotten old on the offense, but not by players, but by way of the coaching staff. So the maturity factor and the experience in itself is going to help the guys buy into what we're going to do this year offensively, as opposed to some of our struggles from a season ago.
Speak to playing last year in the Black College Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, where you played Central State.
Yeah.
And won that game. I think it was at 21.
No, we lost it.
Oh, you lost it. I'm sorry. So you didn't win that game, but close game at least for a while. But the experience of playing in that game.
Well, one of the things that when you're in college football, sports in particular, the young men and women that participate, they get the opportunity to travel a lot of times to places they've never go if it wasn't for the experience of college or athletics. So that was a good deal for our guys in itself. They got a chance to see the National NFL Hall of Fame as well as the Black College Hall of Fame there as well. But the game didn't go as planned. Right. But again, we talk about the totality of the experience was outstanding, and it's one that I think they need to continue to do. So all the historical black colleges get the opportunity to go there, have that experience and play in that game, because it's really a good deal. And, they put some money into the university's pocket.
For you mentioned infrastructure a little bit earlier. Spring practice. How was spring practice for you this year, particularly? And I find that kind of interesting because now you have Chris Barnett as your offensive coordinator, but he wasn't there for spring. So that's an interesting dynamic. But how was spring?
Well, believe it or not, he got there the last week of spring ball.
Okay.
And we ended up scoring about 30 points in the spring game. Right. So we're very excited about what he brings to the table. A lot of times, at this day and age, the minute you hire a coach, the first thing kids will do is they'll Google him, or they'll see his resume. Well, he has an impeccable resume to where now he commands the attention from not only the players, but the returning coaches on the offensive side as well. So, and what I saw in that 1 week of preparation was what I needed: professionalism, having a plan in mind, sticking to the plan, and executing the plan. Good coaching, great recruiter, and those are things you look for in coaches. But if you can get that in in an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, now you're batting 1,000.
The season were to start today, who would be your starting quarterback?
That I do not know.
Okay.
And the reason being, we did sign 3 other quarterbacks. One transfer and 2 other high school guys. That competition is going to be wide open, because one of the things that I felt real strong about when I interviewed Coach was that quarterback position, for lack of a better word, that's the CPU unit of your team. And he has to make great decisions on the field as well as off the field. And that's what we're looking for in terms of who's going to be our starting quarterback.
But now, one guy that's going to be in that backfield, I believe Jatwan Stafford comes back.
Yes, sir.
For you. Running back was all CIAA, or all rookie CIAA, I believe, on last year. Rushed for maybe, I forget what he rushed for, maybe 500?
Yeah, right
close to 500
500
yards. Yeah, 493, I think. But speak to how much more of an expectation you have for him in 2023.
Well, Stafford was actually our second string running back.
Okay.
Asa Barnes, kid that transferred in a year ago from East Carolina, he had most of the rushing, took out that load. He had about 800 yards rushing. He just got injured at the end of the year, and Stafford came in and showed and flashed. And we feel good about our run game. That was probably our strength a year ago. We averaged about 140, 150 yards a game rush. So you're going to have to run the ball to win games at this level. And we feel good about that going into. Our thing now is really the trigger man.
And then some other guys you're expecting to step up for you offensively.
Well, we got some guys returning, local kid, Willett McDuffie, offensive lineman. Keith Quick is our left tackle. We expect those guys to get better because they've been in the system now for 2 seasons. And then, we got, of course, R.J. Mobley, all-conference, preseason all-conference wide receiver, 6'3", 6'4" kid, very productive in the top 10, top 5 in certain categories a year ago in the conference. And then we had some transfers coming in. We got a kid from Durham that was at Miles Dillon that was at Wingate. He's coming on. So, we've tried to address our offensive issues and tried to give Coach Barnett all the talent that we could put around him so he can make sure from day one when we hit that field and when we play, we'll be scoring points.
And then defensively, I mean, what are your expectations there and some of the names we need to be on the lookout for?
Well, being a defensive guy by trade, I kind of have a better grips on that. We got quite a few guys coming back. Kyle Kamar, Trevor Willard on the defensive line. We got some returning linebackers that played a little bit last year that we expect to mature. Secondary, fortunately, is our stronghold. Jalen Gillette, Narik Smith, Terrell Chance, as well as Terrell Fleming. Those guys, they played a lot last year, and they all had about 3 interceptions apiece. So we expect the defense to continue to be pretty good. We were ranked last year nationally in the defensively, number 10 in the country, and number 1 on first down defense. That's a new stat.
Oh, wow.
But what that stat tells you is, from kickoff, those guys are ready to play. And if we can get offenses playing behind the sticks early, that increases our chances of getting off the field and giving that ball back to Coach Barnett and the offense.
I know coaches and you specifically probably don't like to look too far ahead, but I look at that middle of the season schedule, 3 of your 4 games, which is a good thing, at home.
Yes.
For you, Elizabeth City, Bluefield State, and Livingstone. Speak to, especially you're talking about CIAA play, how big that is for you and how important it is for the Rams to play well.
Well, our problem has been we've started slow. And the last 2 seasons, we had a lot of games where we were on the road early in the season. But when we came home, the crowd blessed us. They showed us love, support, and everything, and our kids played extremely well. So we'll have the opportunity now to start fast and finish strong because we have 3 in a row home games. And it's nothing like playing at home. Bowman Gray Stadium, sellout crowds, the fan support is unbelievable. And we're grateful for that. One thing we do at Winston is we travel well and we support. And that's what we're going to do, continue to do, to improve ourselves on that field in terms of winning games. I hadn't said this, but I want to make sure everybody understands our goal is to win the conference this year.
It's interesting. We have Adrian Jones here, the head coach at Shaw Trey Oliver of North Carolina Central. Both of those guys played at North Carolina Central, but you were before those guys. They probably looked up to you. You're such a great player at NCCU. What do you remember about those days with the Eagles?
Well, you know what? Back then, obviously you didn't have the transfer portal and things of that nature. We assembled a pretty good team, man. I couldn't believe some of the accolades coming into college. Some of the guys that were at a historical black college for Division II. We had about 3 guys that were actually Shrine Bowl starters. So, back then that was a heck of a feat. And for us to turn that by 88, we turned that into a playoff team. And, those are all great memories. And we try to mimic some of the things we done back then and today. Obviously a little different, but in terms of getting a great group of talent, getting together in a single season, molding it, and winning a championship and going into the playoffs.
And then your time in the league, you were a 2nd-round pick,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken, out of Central,
yes,
by the Saints,
yes,
all rookie first year, solid career in the National Football League. Just your memories of playing in the league.
Well, for me, a little off the subject, but we're talking about my personal deal. My wife was my mother, and she's always been in my corner, and I wanted to make sure I took care of her because she took care of me. Right or wrong, indifferent, mom was there. So for me, that experience was living a dream, and then being able to provide for your family and your loved ones is just unbelievable. And I share that with everybody. I tell all the players, you got to have a couple of plans. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a professional athlete, but understand that that's going to be tough. But I'm living proof it can happen. But at the end of the day, let's get that degree. Let's win some championships. So 20 years from now, when you come back to your school, they'll know who you are, as opposed to at some of the bigger schools, they might not know who you are unless you Michael Jordan. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So that experience is best experience of my life.
Again, well, Coach Massey, we really appreciate the time, and good luck to you and the Rams this season.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Go Rams.